Welcome to Yang's Mechlab. This is the ENF-4R Enforcer, a very common medium mech from the Federated Suns. Its production facilities have largely been untouched by the war, and so it does appear in numerous occasions throughout the inner sphere, but predominantly fielded by House Davion. Now, it shares a lot of similarities with the Centurion. Of course, its weight, its weapons capacity, and many other features are identical. But in stock build, whereas the Centurion pairs an AC-10 with medium lasers, and it can get in close, the Enforcer pairs the AC-10 with a large laser, and it's clearly designed as more of a standoff fighter. Unfortunately, it has a couple of relatively minor weaknesses. The first is that the AC-10 only has 8 shots in the tank, so it very quickly runs out, leaving it considerably underarmed for its size. And secondly, the decision has clearly been made that as a standoff fighter, it can position to make sure that its back is not towards the enemy. So it runs with incredibly light rear armour, particularly in the side torso where the AC-10 ammo is. So if early on in the battle you can turn one of these around and shoot it in the right torso in the back, you can, if you're fortunate, trigger the ammo explosion, which will take out its primary weapon early, and then maybe focusing on the left arm to take out the left large laser, or simply going through the back armour and coring it back to front is a good idea. So if you want to actually make this useful, I would advise you perhaps to consider dropping the heat sinks and small laser, making sure that you add in additional AC-10 ammo, possibly crit padding this side of the mech to prevent ammo explosions, and you know what, possibly just dumping the rest into armour, but evening out the distribution a bit as you like it. The heat efficiency won't be impacted that much, and it does reduce the firepower slightly, albeit the loss of the small laser, given that you're going to be standing off from the enemy, is not such a big deal. But this is a reasonable fire support build. The alternative to doing it this way is maybe taking off the AC-10 entirely, because ballistics like this are incredibly heavy, and using the fact that all of the energy slots for this chassis are on the left side, to build an asymmetric loadout using a combination of large lasers, perhaps protected in the left torso, and then some medium laser support on the inside, perhaps on the arm there, maximising the armour loadout, and then popping in heat sinks to suit. Like this, crit padding as you go. So just tweaking the armour load to even out the mech in the distribution, and here you now have a credible, heavily armoured brawling mech with significant firepower, relatively decent heat efficiency, although you might want to consider dropping one of these large lasers for a medium, and then just using the spare capacity for additional equipment on the inside. So let's pop in another heatsink, like so, and maybe a small laser just to round out the close range configuration. Like this. So here we now have a relatively heat efficient, another half a ton to go. Let's strip the armour, pop the final heatsink into the middle, maximise the armour. There we go. Decently heat efficient. You've got 54 heat reduction, and alpha does 72. So this mech would benefit from having A heat exchanger, so maybe dropping 2 of the heat sinks for a heat exchanger will give you a net benefit. But excellent armour load, 1,000 armour points all round really, and some good hitting power, particularly in standard range.